Hello everyone, and welcome to my XP and leveling guide for Yakuza 3. In this video, I have to go over some of the best ways to get XP as well as how XP works, as well as some finite resources that could give you XP to just give you a little boost. Before we do talk about that, I do want to give some disclaimers. The first thing I want to cover is what is the actual best way to get XP in this game, which is unironically to just play the game like 4 times, maybe 3 if you've done all the sub-stories. And the main reason I'm not going to talk about this is I'd like to think that everyone who wants to get XP wants to get in their first playthrough, which this completely just doesn't do. The second thing is that you could easily beat this game without getting all the upgrades. Please don't look at this as a necessity when you're playing through the game. This is just for people who want to go the extra mile and get everything. The last thing I want to say is that no matter what you do, the XP grind in Yakuza 3 is really bad. Leveling in Yakuza 3 in general is really bad. Don't look at these methods as a fast and easy way to get XP. Look at it more as, oh hey, leveling in this game kind of sucks. These are just methods to help it suck a little less. So yeah, just keep that in mind. This is going to suck no matter what you do. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's just go over some general information in regards to XP. Alright, so that yellowish green bar at the top is your XP bar. The way it works is that pretty much every time you fill it up, you get 1 level. To fully fill this up, you need 1000 XP. So just think it as like every 1000 XP is 1 level. Okay, so now that we understand how the XP bar works, now we have to ask how many levels and XP do we need to fully level up Kiryu. And that number is pretty high. You need 1,880 levels, or 1,880 XP. Okay, so that is a pretty big number. The question now becomes, how do we put a dent into that? So the first thing we do are sub-stories. Now, most sub-stories in the game give you somewhere between 2,000 to 5,000 XP. Obviously, doing that will add up and lead to a lot of XP. But there are some sub-stories that give you even more XP than that. Some of the ones I have listed here are Ghost from the Past, Another Stardust, Dante's Pride, Murder at Cafe Alps, Silver Screen Dragon, and the Ramen sub-story. Another optional sub-story slash sub-stories you could do are the Hostess stories, which are pretty much all the hostesses from Shine, Jewel, and Flawless. Because if you do all of them, it adds up to 75,000 XP, but that is a very big time sink. It took me like 3 days to do it fully. Alright, so this one is completely optional. Okay, so assuming you've done all the sub-stories I listed, you have 151 levels, and if you did a bit more, you obviously have probably a bit more XP. Okay, that's a nice chunk, but we still have a lot more to go. So what can we do now? We can do boss fights. So right here, I have every boss fight listed and how much XP they give you. Now, depending on where you are in the game, you could obviously look at this and find how much XP you want to get. If you're obviously at the end of the game, you have a 425. I decided to put the cutoff at Lao Kao Long, as that's when you can do both methods very easily. And if you stop after you go for Lao, you'll be at 184,000 XP. Or 184 levels. Okay, so now we've done some bosses and we've done some sub-stories, but we are nowhere near that 1,880 level limit, or mark. What do we do now? Well, there are some other things you can do, like doing Coliseum fights, but I left those out because maybe you don't want to do them. At this point, we're going to have to switch to the XP methods. Before we do that, though, we need money. Lots of it. Okay, so now you might be wondering, well, how do we get money, since we need money for both XP methods? And there's really only 2 ways of doing this. The first is the more slow, but it's the consistent way, and that is the All-Star Tournament. For those of you who don't know, when you're in Pre-Med Adventure, if you go to the Purgatory area, specifically the outside area, there's going to be a lady who will give you the ability to fight in something called the All-Star Tournament. And doing it, you fight against some of the bosses in the game, and you get, on average, about 500,000 per fight, or per match. Which obviously, it's not amazing, we need a lot more than that, but it's consistent, so if you're willing to grind that out, you can do it. Or we could do the second and much more faster way, which is gambling. Now there's a bunch of gambling that you can do. You could use all the cheat items and just get your money like that, but overall gambling is going to be the fastest way of getting this money. If you do end up using the cheat items, one thing I want to note is that for the Japanese gambling games like Cho-han, Koi Koi, things like that, make sure you unlock the hardest difficulty on all of them before you actually use your cheat items so you can maximize them. Also, if you're just really good at koi koi, you could probably just get a fortune with that, but obviously not everyone's good at koi koi, so yeah. Okay, and this is the way I got all my money. Pretty much what you want to do is that you want to play roulette, but not just play roulette, you want to play it against the banker. To get this to happen, what you're going to want to do is that you want to play a round of roulette, win or lose doesn't matter, and then you want to back out. After that, you want to keep doing that, and on the third time, go and save. Once you save, if you go back and you talk to the banker and you're like, oh hey, you want to play roulette, he should allow you to play against him, pretty much one-on-one against the banker. And the reason you want to do this and play against the banker is because it's double payouts and you could bet double. So pretty much maximum you could bet 2,000 and you could get 144,000 in return, which is about $10.5 million, which is what we want to do. So we do that, get the chips, and then we turn them into plates, sell the plates to pawn shop, repeat. The specific amount of money you'd want from this is going to be around, I'd say maybe 20 million to 30 million. 20 million to 40 million is probably the better estimate. But yeah, we're going to need a lot of money, so gambling and doing stuff like this is easily the best way to do it. So yeah. And again, I just want to make it clear, this is the way I got my money. If you find some other way that works for you, just use that instead. Okay, so we've done all the sub-stories that we wanted to do, we've done all the boss fights we wanted to do, and now we are completely loaded with cash. Now we move on to the XP methods. The first method I will be covering is going to be the Macallan method. So for the Macallan method, what we're going to want to do is that first, we're going to want to buy Boss Black Coffee from any convenience store. I show the nearest one here, so just go to that one. And then we want to go to Shellac. Once we go into Shellac, we want to drink Macallan 1946 because this will give us one level every time we drink it. But we can't drink it repeatedly because if we do, it'll have a reduced effect. So instead of going for that, we want to go for Q Gets You Green because I know for a fact this one will let you drink Macallan again. Again, drink Macallan, and we just want to alternate. But then, as you can see here, we are now too drunk to continue. So at this point, we open our menu, drink one Boss Black, and then continue with the strategy. Make sure Q Gets You Green, then Macallan. Once you're completely out of Boss Black, we leave and just get more Boss Black, and then come back and repeat the process of Q Gets You Green and Macallan. I'll let this play out for a bit so you could just see what the method is. So at the end of this first run, you should be getting 22 levels. At the end of every run after this, it's only going to be 21 since you're drinking one less Macallan. And I did the math for this up here, and I'll put it on screen. And as you can see, this does take a while, and it's also pretty expensive. But there is a pro to this, and we'll cover pros and cons right now. Okay, the one and only real pro that I could give this is the fact that you unlock this earlier. Like, as soon as you fight Lao, you get this. You don't have to wait after that. But that's literally it. It is still more expensive. It is much slower. It is a lot riskier, especially if you're on Legend, where if you get hit or get into a fight, you have absolutely no healing items, and you could lose all your progress. And it's also a little more convoluted and harder to do. Yeah, it's just not an amazing method, and to be honest, I'd say only do this if you maybe need a few levels and you're in Camarocho, otherwise don't do it. So that was the Macallan method. As I said, it's not great. It's relatively good compared to other XP methods, but overall it's not amazing. And now we will move on to what I am calling the Okinawa method, since you do it on Okinawa. So yeah, here is the method. Okay, so for the Okinawa method, what you're going to want to do is you want to come here, the Awamori Gura. It's right next to the Ryudo family. It's behind the public market and in front of the monorail if you want to find it. And anyways, for the method, you want to talk to this person and you want to buy the 38 proof Awamori 10 years, the one that's 5,000. And you're going to want to buy Legendary Drinkers of Ryokyu. You want to buy 10 of each, and then you just want to take the Awamoris followed by 2 Drinkers of Ryokyus as shown in this footage. You just want to repeat that process, and yeah, for as long as you want. I'll let it play out for a bit so you could see, but again, this is very self-explanatory. In this recording, I went until I got the same amount I did with the Macallan method, which was 22 levels, and not only did I get the 22 levels, I even got 23 and a half levels faster than I did with the Macallan method. I'll put my math up here, and you'll notice just how much faster it was, and it was also cheaper as well. With that, let's go into some of the pros and cons with this method. So the only real downside with this is that you unlock it later, and you get in chapter 9 or after the Tamiya visit, which I mean you could make the argument that you could get this in chapter 3 if you have the money for it, but I don't think anyone would went for the money for it in chapter 3. But again, apart from that one con, it is objectively better. It's quicker, it's costs less, it's a lot less risky since everything you need is literally right there, and it is much easier to do. There's less finger work, so yeah, it's just a better method overall. Before I end this video, I know that one question that may arise is how exactly do I spend my levels, and honestly, it does not matter. You could choose to just level everything equally. That's what I did. I know a lot of people like to go into tech because you unlock a lot of abilities, but really, it does not matter. Do whatever you want, especially if you're going to get all the levels. Really, it does not matter. And with that, we are at the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you've learned something, I'm glad I did my job. The main reason I made this video is because there was just no good video showing off everything that you may have needed to do the XP methods, and there really, to my knowledge, was no video that showed off the Okinawa method at all. So that's my main drive for making this. Anyways, yeah, liked it if you liked it. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. I'll leave some stuff in the description, stuff I may have not cleared up. But apart from that, yeah, goodbye.